Hello everyone. In this video I would like to compare another pair of lenses for the Olympus OMD EM-5, and these two lenses are the Olympus 12 to 50 millimeter f3.5 to 6.3 movie shooting lens, which comes as a kit lens with the OMD, versus the Olympus 14 to 150 millimeter f4 to 5.6. So in terms of size, weight, and build quality, these two lenses are very similar. So in terms of height, they're almost the same. Diameter-wise, this one is wider. This accepts a 58 millimeter thread. This one is 52 millimeters. However, weight-wise, they're about the same. Okay, so in terms of focal length, here's where the main difference is. This one goes from 12 to 50, which is the same as 24 to 100 on film focal length. So this will give you a slightly wider angle up to a portrait length or so. Also, the aperture value goes from 3.5 to a rather small aperture of 6.3. For the other lens, it goes from 14, which is a typical wide angle focal length for micro four thirds, which is 28 millimeters, to 150. So this goes all the way to about 300 millimeters equivalent. So this really gets you zoomed in, and it's very telephoto. The aperture goes from 4 to 5.6. So while it's not as big an aperture at the wide end, so 4 compared to 3.5, it's larger at the telephoto end. So this is 5.6 compared to 6.3. So here is the 12 to 50 millimeter mounted on the OMD. So let me show you the maximum aperture value at each focal length. So here we go. We start at 12 millimeter, which is 3.5, and slowly get to 15, which is where we get to f4. It's about the same as the other lens. And now it's 20, it's 4.6, 30, 5.4, 40, 5.8, and finally 50, 6.3. Well, the 12 to 50 millimeter does have some interesting features. One thing is that it has a powered zoom feature. This is for video shooting, so you can zoom with a motor inside without rotating the ring by hand. So this prevents camera shake. And also you can zoom rather smoothly in a slow manner, and you can also rotate fast. I think there are 3 speed steps. And if you want, you can push this forward. Actually, I'm sorry, you can pull it back and you'll get to mechanical zoom. And here you can turn it mechanically. And it's not easy to turn because you feel like you're driving some motor inside. It's got this grindish action to it. On the left you have a function button that you can customize, and here's a macro button. So while you press the macro button down, you can push this ring all the way forward, and you'll get into the macro mode. In macro mode, you're locked in at 43 millimeters focal length, and you have a maximum aperture of f6. So, but that's okay, because in macro mode you usually want greater depth of field anyway. So that's pretty useful for, a walk around lens. You got wide, you got telephoto, you got also macro. So here is the 14 to 150 millimeter attached on the OMD. In my opinion, it actually looks a little nicer because the lens is a little wider. There are no fancy tricks to this lens, except you just rotate and the lens barrel will come out. So it goes all the way from 14 to 150. And this is the total length when it goes to telephoto. So let's compare this with the 12 to 50. 12 to 50 does not extend at all, and that's because it's weatherproof. So here. Now let's run through the focal range. So we start at 14 millimeter f4, go to 20 millimeter and it's 4.3. Go to 30, it's 4.9. 50, 5.4. 75, 5.4. 90, 5.5. 120, 5.6. 150, 5.6. So for the range that it offers, it's a brighter lens than the 12 to 50 millimeter. In terms of autofocus speed, both lenses are very similar. They both focus quietly and rather quickly. So I'm not going to do a comparison here because these lenses are pretty fast in focus and are very similar to the supplied 14 to 42 millimeter kit lens. In terms of image quality, they're also very similar. In the center of the frame is rather sharp and it gets a little blurry near the corners, but it's very acceptable. So very similar image quality as well. In terms of price, they're once again pretty similar. This one is, I think, priced at $500 US. This one's priced at $600 US. But this has been out for longer, and you can get probably a used lens for cheaper with the 14 to 150 than the 12 to 50. So in deciding between the two lenses is really up to whether you do some special applications for shooting. So if you do shooting in the rain or wet conditions, this lens is weather sealed, the 12 to 50. So this is a no-brainer to lens to choose if you're gonna shoot out in the rain because it's weatherproof. The other thing is if you shoot a lot of videos, this has got the power zoom feature, so that will also be helpful. However, for the rest of us who don't do a lot of video shooting or a lot of zooming during video or shooting in the rain, then this lens would be the lens to get because for about the same price you gain about 100 millimeters of focal length, and you also get a brighter aperture for under 50 millimeter range compared to this one. So hopefully this video has listed the pros and cons for you for those two lenses, and maybe has helped you make a better decision in purchasing. So once again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and see you next time.